Hello everybody, this is going to be a quick video on how to wire up the turbo, oil pressure and oil temperature gauges for a 2004 Subaru Impreza WRX. With the so firstly, with the ProSport gauges, you do get the instruction manuals on how to fit each one. However, I got my gauges from Subaru, which comes with the oil pressure and the oil temperature gauge fitting kit. So I'll be showing you where all these go, because some people might find them a little bit confusing, and also how the wiring works as well. So let's first go around to the bonnet. So the first step, once you're underneath the bonnet itself, is you're going to want to refer to the manual here. So you want to be able to fit the oil pressure gauge. So this is a sensor here. So first you want to remove the alternator by, there's a few bolts underneath the alternator cover. You want to remove, just be careful of this clip here as well. This does fall out, you don't want that dropping down. And then take the alternator out in its entirety, which will then give you access to where this piece here wants to go. As you can also see by the diagram, you can see, so this little part goes into the engine itself. So you want to put PTFE tape on the end of this before putting it into the hole down there. I'll try and get a best video I can of whereabouts it goes now for you. So where this goes, so this all runs down here. You need to make sure that this does not touch anything hot as well. So that just goes down there. You can just see it down there, just under the alternator. So give a little wiggle there for you. Just goes down there and just screws in, again with PTFE tape. What I also did as well is I extended the original sensor wire just with a piece of wire. I will be linking in the description all the wires I used, all the connectors I used as well. They're all from Amazon, so they're reasonably cheap anyway. Once you're happy with with how this is all fitted, you want to put this aftermarket gauge on the top of the adapter here, and then the original gauge, just the original sender, sorry, just on this other side here. Again, applying PTFE tape to both of these to ensure there's no oil leaks. A quick thing to add, with this, you can mount it really wherever you want. They usually say on top of the alternator, however, due to this being an aftermarket alternator cover, I found it a bit hard to place on top of the alternator, so I just drilled a hole through here and just used a nut and bolt just to mount it on, and that's really solid now, so that's okay. Once you're happy that your oil pressure gauge is all nicely fitted, we can now look at now placing in the oil temperature gauge. So to start this, you're going to need to remove the intercooler here due to its whereabouts. So this is very simple. All it is 2 bolts here. All the bolts for these, I left these lines on, all the bolts here. Two bolts here for my dump valve. And also you want to remove this pipe here instead of taking any of these back ones off here. So don't remove any of them, just remove this pipe here, take this pipe off, and that'll be fine. It'll all come out nicely after that. Once this has been removed, you can now find whereabouts the sender is, just down there. Sorry, I can't get the focus very well. There we go. It's a little bit better. So that's your sender down there, just down there. So with the kit from Subaru, you do get a cylinder 3 adapter. So the cylinder 3 adapter's there, and then you get the temp gauge and then plugs in. Again, make sure you put some PTFE tape on cylinder 3 adapter. Screw that all in, and then before you take that all out, you do want to extend the wires. I extended them. Just put some more wire on there and just extend them out a bit. The last step is the turbo sender. So this is just over here, mounted onto my washer bottle. This is very straightforward to do. I cut the pipe of the dump valve in half. It comes with a T-piece, the gauges do, and then you want to use the actual pipe being provided with the gauge halfway, put in the filter, and then plugging into the sender itself. This was very straightforward. Once you're happy with all three of the senders have been on, connected correctly, I would recommend starting the car just to ensure that there's no oil leaks from anywhere. Just ensuring that you've tightened everything up correctly. When I started it, I forgot to tighten the bolt down there up the thread, so I need that tightening, and I wouldn't have known that without starting it. So, and now once you're happy, once you've started and you're happy that there's no oil leaks or all this is okay as well, you can start really wiring it all together. The wiring's kind of more the straightforward bit. So per gauge, you get the instruction manuals which show what goes to where, how everything works together. What I did is I put green and black wire for each one, apart from the turbo gauge where I did have to use a red wire due to there being another part. Then all I did is I wired them just down there through the firewall there, which then comes out just down there, up there, through there, and then up into the dash itself. So now maybe some people may think the most intimidating part is wiring these gauges together. However, they are actually very straightforward. So once you've removed the original clock from here, you're going to see where they plug into. So the actual clock wire and harness, if you would. So we're just going to basically tap into that. So I've got a little rope down here for the clock wires here. So this is for UK wiring. I don't know if it's different, you know, in any other part of the world, you know, the US or somewhere like that. However, when I tested it, I found that the blue and red wire was the constant power. We're going to ignore that. You don't need that, so I didn't cut into these. Your next is purple, which were for headlights. Your yellow and green wire was for ignition, and then your black was earth. So again, we're going to ignore the blue and red for the constant wiring. That's not very important. We don't need that. So when dealing with the gauges, each gauge is the same. So your red wire will go to ignition, so that is to your yellow and green on the clock wires. Then your black is your earth, so that'll just go to your black on your clock wires as well. And then your green will go to each one of the gauges itself. So when dealing with the actual senders within the engine, I'll just go back to them now for you. So each one has a green wire. Each one will have a green wire. That one down there will have a green wire, and this has a green wire as well. So this needs to go to each corresponding gauge. So this one's going to be for the turbo. This one here is going to be for your pressure, and then that one there's for your temperature. Just make sure you definitely put each one of them to the corresponding gauge within the car, otherwise it won't work. Now I'm back in the car. I'm just going to run this through with you all again. So all of the black wires you're going to want to take to the black earth on the clock wires itself. So all the black wires again to the clock black wire, and then all your red wires for ignition will go to the yellow and green wire on the clock, and then all the green wires will just go to, again, the corresponding sensor. When wiring all these together, all I used was just these little connectors here. So, you know, one wire goes in the side, another in the other, and then just crimp them down. Again, I'll put a link in the description of where you can get these from, and it also includes a crimp as well. So if you haven't got any of them, that'll be handy as well. Another thing with the connectors as well. So again, I just used just general connectors really, just to plug all this stuff in. However, for this one, due to it being a round edge, all I used was just one of these O1s and just placed it over the top and crimped it into the end there. Again, these also come in with all the wiring kit linked in the description. So the last part of the wiring is white and orange, which I've left blank due to this being for the lights. So as you can see, all the gauges are the same with the lights. So depending on how you want it set up, you can have them both white, constantly amber, amber when your lights are off, white when your lights are on, or white when your lights are off, and amber when your lights are on. So I've got mine set up as, when I turn the gauge on, they're white, and then when I turn my lights on, they turn amber. So to do this, depending on how you want it set up, if you want it the same way as mine, you're going to want to do the white amber scale. So your white wire is going to want to go to is going to connect to an ACC, which is just your ignition wires. So you want to connect them to your ignition wires, which are going to be the yellow and green on the wire connectors. And then your amber scale, you're going to want to go to your purple on your wires, on your clock wires for headlights. So again, if you want white, just connect the white wires to the ignition. If you want just amber, connect the orange wires to just the ignition. If you want amber for day and white for night, you want to put amber to the ignition and then white to the lights. And then again, white and amber, as I said before, you want to connect white to the ignition power and then amber to the lights. Thanks for watching this quick little video on how to install the ProSport gauges from Scooby World. As I said before, all links in the description to the gauges themselves, to the wires, and all the other parts I used to install these. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll get back to you the best I can.